Hello, everyone, and an exciting Monday morning over here at Global Television. And yes, it's time to talk sport. Yes, my name is Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining on today's edition of Talk Sport. As we saw an amazing weekend of lots of actions locally and also in the international stages where Nigerians are making us proud, though we're not getting all of the results that we wanted, but we're seeing draws and also we're seeing Nigerians finishing at, the number third positions and also fourth positions respectively, and also first positions when it comes to the track field and the world of athletics generally. So we'll be having all of those conversations. We'll be talking basketball, we'll be talking football, boxing, and also track field on today's edition of Talk Sport. And it's just going to be super interesting and exciting. But we'll be starting from the track field and also talking about some Nigerian kid who is doing exceptionally well, talking about Akintola Alaba, who storms to the 200 meters victory in Tennessee, like I rightly mentioned, making us proud both home and abroad. Nigerian sprint star Alaba Akintola continued his impressive run off the form on the American contingent circuit, powering to victory in the men's 200 meters at the Music City Challenge held at the track and field facility in Nashville, Tennessee. Representing Middle Tennessee State University, Akintola clocked a time of 20.50 seconds to clinch the first place ahead of strong competition from Antonio Lay, who followed suit with 20.64 seconds, and John Sherman, who follows suit with 20.72 seconds. The win adds another feather to the cap of the 22-year-old athlete, who has emerged as one of Nigeria's most consistent performer over 200 meters distance in recent seasons. In addition to his 200 meters win, Akintola was also made a notable appearance in the men's 100 meters after a solid showing in the first round, where he posted 10.30 seconds to qualify for the final. He eventually settled for a third place finish in the medal race. His consistency across both sprint distance continued to underline his credentials as one of Nigeria's leading short distance prospects. Akintola's protege, if you remember, that was in last year, January, where Akintola and his protege in the continental stage as well established, and he was part of Nigerians' gold medal wins for 4x100 meters relay team at the 2024 African Games in All African Games in Accra, where they clocked an impressive 38.41 seconds. He also contributed to Nigerians' bronze medal winning sprint relay effort at the 2022 Commonwealth Games that was held in Birmingham, United Kingdom. So we've been seeing how amazing Akintola has been. We've seen his track record, his credential, gold medalist, and also winning the 200 meters. I guess a lot of persons said fatigue happened. That was why he wasn't able to finish second or even first, and then he settled for the third position when he had to deal with the 100 meters track and field competition. Though in the first stage he beat and then came first with around 10.30 seconds, but couldn't continue and finish up because the same game, 200 meters coming first and also coming back to the 100 meters track field, he also kept the momentum but couldn't just. But still, congrats to Akintola Alaba for being amazing and for waving the green, white, green flag up there in Nashville, Tennessee. Moving on, still talking athletics, Favour Ofili, third in 100,000 Grand Slam track debuts. Yes, talking about another favorite Nigerian track field athletes, talking about Nigerian sprinter Favour Ofili, made her long-awaited debut at the newly launched Grand Slam track in Miami on Friday, finishing third in the women's 100 meters race, which was won by Olympic bronze medalist Melissa Jefferson Wood. Jefferson Wood clocked a stunning 10.75 seconds to take the 100 meters win in Miami ahead of Tamara Davis, who came in second with 10.79 seconds, and Ofili finished in an impressive third in a time of 10.94 seconds. Springling, surprisingly, the Olympic 200 meters champion Gab Thomas, despite clocking her first career sub 11 seconds, 11 times, time in all competitions with 10.97 seconds, settled for fourth position, edging Josiah Suarez in 10.98 seconds. This appearance marks Ophilio's first outing in the Grand Slam track, a league held as first truly professional series for track athletes, following her withdrawal from the opening leg in Kingston, Jamaica earlier this month. Looking at this now, Favour Ofili, this is not just the results that she wanted, but coming in at this pace and also, being the first time ever appearing on this grand stage and coming in third, competing with the likes of world champions, Olympic medal winners, and this is actually a good result. Coming third, I don't think she did so bad, but next time she would want to go for the kill and come first and win that prize money of $100,000 US. So looking at all of those angles now, definitely she's going to go back to the drawing board and come back with much finesse and much firepower, because there are a whole lot of other competitions that will be coming up later this year and in the coming months. So we'll be seeing all of those agilities, we'll be seeing a whole lot of preparation, and this is just a step, marking forward to what is to come. So the momentum is obviously high, and then Favour Ofili will definitely do what she can to be able to get the last laugh when they get to meet up and face all of these compatriots in the next coming competition. Still talking track field, Toby Amosun world record under threat. Yes, Toby Amosun's world record is currently under threat based on her recent performance. World record holder in the women's 100 meters hurdle, Toby Amosun, might just be settling into the new season with 2 hurdle events under her belt this season. But her rivals are already coming closer to her with 12.12 seconds record, which she set at the world champions in the year 2022. Amosun hit the track in China on Saturday for her second hurdle event of the season, where she placed fourth with a new season best of 12.66 seconds. The race was won by US ace Grace Stark with a time of 12.42 seconds, followed by reigning world champion Daniela Williams in second position with 12.55 seconds, while South African's Fury Mario was third with 12.62 seconds. So looking at this now, Stark and Williams had finished in the swap position from the Diamond League opener in Germain last weekend. And looking at this gave them more momentum to be able to, partake. Like I rightly mentioned, these athletes are going from country to country, from city to city, to be able to, compete in all of this competition that is coming up. So looking at all of these angles now and looking at how far they are preparing, I think the momentum keeps building. The results that they have from the previous is not the same that we want to have next. So it shows differently. In the just concluded opener that happened in Yemen, we saw where Stark and Williams had finished in the swapped position from Diamond League opener, and then now we are seeing the difference also of how well they are performing and all. So looking at all of this now, it still shows that there's more room for all of these athletes to do better, just like Favour Ofili and also just like Toby Amosun. Giving away her world title leg now is not something I'm sure she wants to do, though she's been holding that position for over 3 years now, and then she's definitely going to want to renew and extend it. So but now it's not looking as if it's in the balance for her based on her current form and outing just this past weekend. But there's still more leagues and more competitions that are yet to come, so we'll see how far she's going to, improve and get herself ready for the next challenges that are yet to come in the coming days. So we'll be having more conversations around athletics and the track field a little bit later, but now let's get into the world of football. Then we'll be talking about our own famous league, which is the Federation Cup semis. Is actually it's here already. Ikorodu City and Rangers International, which Federation Cup semi-finals. Talking about Nigerian Premier Football League, New Boys and High Flyers, Ikorodu City have reached the semi-finals of the 2025 President Federation Cup following a hard-fought 1-0 victory in Wikitoris in Abuja just this past Saturday. The NPFL side secured their berth in the Final Four with 10 men scoring only 1 goal of the game, courtesy of Shola Adeleyin's second half penalty. Nuruddin Asoro's side had Leonard Nenge sent off after an hour mark, but the Lagos side held on to hold on to book their spot in the last four, where they will play Nigerian National League side Abakaliki FC. It is the first time the Oga Boys will be reaching the semi-final final four since the formation of the club. Their semi-final opponent, Abakaliki FC, beat Nasarawa United on penalties to reach the final four. The game finished 1-1 in relegation time before the Ebonyi club went ahead to win 5-4 in the shootout. So looking at all of this now, that means Enugu Rangers in the semi-finals, Abakaliki FC also in the semi-finals now. From the Federation Cup, you get to advance, and then those that are automatically these guys in the top four that have gotten to the semi-final stages will make it all through to the Nigerian Professional Football League that has come 2025 and 2026 season. So teams from the NLL would always advance. So now from what we are seeing and how far the league has been going, Abakaliki FC have made it through to the MPFL for the 2025-2026 season. We'll see how they would partake. But now, to win this championship now, the President Federation Cup, is also an avenue that would elevate you and go and face other African teams in the continent. That's talking about CAF now. So this is, I'm just laying all of this foundation for individuals to know how important the Federation Cup is to playing in the NLL, playing in the Nigerian Premier League, and also representing in the CAF. So looking at all of these angles now, Abakaliki FC are currently have made it through to the NPFL for 2025-2026 season based on their current standing now in the Presidential and the Federation Cup. So looking at those angles now, we are expecting to see more. Now, this matchup will be coming up later this week between Ikorodu Boys and also Abakaliki FC. These individuals, this is the first time ever they'll be meeting themselves, and then obviously there is no rivalry going on, but we don't know if we are going to see more coming up based on the fact that these two teams are very, 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 very young. So we'll see how far they will be able to advance and what they would use to be able to manage the current situation and realities that they face. So looking at all of these angles now, it's going to be very much interesting based on the current standing. We have former MPFL champions, talking about Enugu Rangers now, who lost out this season and then finished up on the Premier League log at the number 9th position. So looking at this now, they will also want to make an impact and so see how they would be able to go to the continent and then play CAF. One thing now that they have above all of these teams are experience, because they are former champions of the Federation Cup, and also they are also former champions of the Nigerian Professional Football League. That's talking about Nigerian Premier League. So looking at all of this now, they have the star qualities, they have the team power, and then they have the experience. So looking at this now, it's actually going to be very, very interesting and very, very competitive, because there's just a whole lot that will be going on just in the next couple of days. So we'll see how all of those pans out, and will definitely bring you updates on what those results and what the matches have been played. We'll be looking about and how far these teams would make it through, because now we are looking for the final two who would go play the final. So we'll be going on a quick break, and when we return back, we'll be having conversations around on the 20 African Cup African Cup games that is currently ongoing in Egypt. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Okay, now let's talk on the 20 African Cup of All Nations. Nigeria battled Morocco to a draw. Yes, they didn't back down. The Flying Eagles didn't back down from Morocco last night as they settled for a draw. Though this wasn't the result that they expected, because on their opening game, they've won their first match and then they want to continue with the same trajectory of winning all of their games. But now they have 3 games, I beg your pardon, they've played 1 game with 3 points and then 1 draw with 1 point. So automatically they have 4 points. But let me bring you up to speed with the story. Nigeria were held to a goalless draw by Morocco in an intense Group B encounter at the ongoing CAF Under-20 African Cup of All Nations in Cairo. This happened last night on Sunday in a contest that revived memories of dramatic 2005 semi-final draw, which Nigeria edged on penalties after a 2-2 draw. Both sides battled intensively, but lacked the clinical edge in front of goal to make a decisive impact. The features marked Nigeria's 99th appearance in the history of the Under-20 African Cup of All Nations, or the 20 African Cup of All Nations. Despite dominant spell during the game, the Flying Eagles were unable to secure what would have been their 57th win in the competition. Having begun their campaign with a 1-0 win over Tunisia, Aliou Zubairu's team aimed to record back-to-back wins for their first time since 2015. However, Morocco proved a more resilient opponent, successfully neutralizing the opponents, and all of these challenges continued based on the fact that, they were not so clinical. So Zubairu now knows a whole lot that he needs to do based on the fact that creating plays from the defensive to the midfield and then to the attack and not having ways to finally, find the back of the net shows that there's just so much more that this team needs to do. So far, the way they play and their style of play is being cheered and is being celebrated by Nigerians, but still, you can't just continue like this, because what wins games and what helps what makes teams advance to the next stages of competition, it's when this team gets to win games and then get to have more points, not just scoring, winning one game, drawing, and then continue the trajectory of drawing and just getting 1 point. So if they continue like this, then there's going to be a massive challenge in the front line. Obviously, there's a challenge there already now. They need to create, they really need to be more creative. These players need to be more creative. The coach needs to bring more fresh ideas on how they can be able to find the back of the net at every given opportunity that they may get. So looking at all of this now, chances were created a whole lot of times, but scoring and finding the back of the net was a problem. So I think Zubairu knows where his major challenge is, and after a long 8 weeks of training and playing friendly matches here in Nigeria before traveling, I think they should be able to find a way around that and then have some other things in their bag, in their arsenal, that they'll need to introduce in their next match that would help them secure the most important 3 points that they will be needing. Because if they get to win the next match, they'll be having 7 points and then they'll be off clear. So looking at it now, they are so far so good. The Flying Eagles are looking well, and they are looking very, very hungry to continue playing and to win more games. So when we continue like that, that's if the Flying Eagles, when they decide to continue and then create more avenues for them to be able to score, then it's actually going to be more interesting to watch, and it's going to be more, evolving for them, based on the fact that they will be able to gap a lot of other teams and not have issues with qualifying stages for the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and all through to the finals. But so far so good. In Group B, their heads are above water, and then they're actually doing, sitting comfortably with 4 points. So congratulations to Flying Eagles and Coach Zubairu, Aliou Zubairu. Definitely you need to work on your front line and see how well you guys can continue the trajectory of winning games. So moving away from that, let's have a quick conversation about EPL, where we saw Arsenal suffered a defeat just this past weekend, and also Liverpool suffered also a defeat. We saw Manchester United suffering also a defeat. But let's begin to stay where Chelsea defeated Liverpool 3 goals to 1 to renew Champions League hope. A lot of fans have actually said that Liverpool had nothing to lose whether they lost to Chelsea or not. Well, the most important thing that is for Chelsea fans is the fact that they will get to play in the Champions League, which has been their goal since the beginning of the season. Liverpool currently has nothing to lose, so I guess it was just more like a walkover for Chelsea. That was why we didn't see so much firepower and attacks from Liverpool yesterday. But Chelsea blustered their bid to qualify for the Champions League with a 3-1 win as Liverpool suffered the Premier League title hangover at Stamford Bridge. This was yesterday. Enzo Maresca's side took the lead through Enzo Fernandez's earlier strike at Stamford Bridge. Gerard Quench's second half on goal was followed by Virgil van Dijk's late reply for Liverpool. Cole Palmer's stoppage time penalty condemned the champions to their only third league defeat this season. So Liverpool has actually been very exceptional the entire season. That's why, they won the league, 5 matches, 6, 7 matches before the season, came to an end. So it shows how clinical they were from the beginning of the season up to date. Arsenal played catch-up. Chelsea played catch-up, and every other team, Nottingham Forest, all played catch-up to see if they can, meet up and then get it through with Liverpool. But now, that didn't happen. Liverpool guys were so focused, and their style of play, attacking, and also this season, they didn't really have so much injury worries. All of their players were all healthy, and also we saw how amazing they were. That's talking about Liverpool this past season. So that shows how great and how amazing they were, and then they were able to, win the league with over 80, with over 20 points ahead of the second guys following them suit, which is Arsenal, Gunners. So we'll see how all of those pound out as, Chelsea are still building their ways to see how they would be able to make it through to Champions League. When the season started earlier, we saw that Chelsea at some point were leading the standings of the EPL before the head coach of Chelsea, Enzo Maresca, came out to make a statement that Chelsea are not currently contending for the EPL. So since that happened, we saw how Chelsea started just dropping points, losing games. And the funny thing that Chelsea fans, complained about is the fact that Enzo Maresca kept loaning out players that are more healthy and leaving the guys that are not healthy. Automatically, it boils down to the fact of what he said, that Chelsea are not contending for the EPL, and then the main focus is to advance into the Champions League. Now, currently sitting as top 5 of the EPL standings. So I think they would be able to, find their way there because of the fact that the new rule says that top 5 teams in the EPL and other leagues would be able to advance into the Champions League. So if Chelsea can maintain this level where where they are currently, then they would be able to find themselves back into the Champions League. And then we'll see how, Enzo Maresca will pull out a magic and then get all of those players that he sent out on loan to come back and play and see how they can fight and qualify for that. So coming this week still, Chelsea has a game that they'll be playing in Europa, and also we'll see how well they can be able to perform in that light. So moving on, still talking football, we'll be having quick conversation around La Liga, but before we do that, we'll be going on another quick break, and when we return back, Talk Sports continues.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Yes, many thanks for staying with us. The guys, the big boys that Arsenal decided to render homeless when he has to deal with Champions League. The guys that Arsenal sent packing, not minding the years of experience they've had or how many trophies they've won. Arsenal didn't mind, so they sent them home. So finally, they are back on, and I'd say they've found their winning ways where one of the players that was supposed to show up and stand up for these guys didn't come to work with his boots on the nights that he was needed the most. Talking about Mbappe, who scores brace as Real Madrid beats Celta Vigo 3-2. Kylian Mbappe struck twice as Real Madrid held off Celta Vigo with a thrilling 3-2 win to stay within the sight of the La Liga leaders Barcelona. After the Catalans scrapped the comeback win at Verdun on Saturday, Madrid survived a late Celta fight back to maintain the 4-point gap ahead of their next Sunday's El Clasico. Defending champions, Madrid second to a 3-goal lead, but were left clinging on the Santiago Bernabeu against Celta, side 7th, and hoping to qualify for European football next season. So Mbappe has found his way to scoring goals, and he was very, very exceptional for his side last night, and it was very crucial for them because if not, Atlético Madrid had a chance to come in from behind and also winning their game and staying on the number 2 position. But now, Madrid are actually waiting for a slip-up from Barcelona so as they can climb based on the fact that Madrid are obviously out of the Champions League. Barcelona have Champions League games to play, which will be happening tomorrow, and then they'll be facing on Inter Milan. So they have a whole lot of challenges. So looking at Real Madrid now, I think they're just looking for a singular way for them to be able to sleep. So now talking about Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe is obviously a great player, arguably one of the best, attackers, but now he's trying to be moved into playing from the middle. That's talking about the top 9 position, which has been a very, very big challenge for him since he's got into Real Madrid. He has individuals, he has midfielders who can help do the work, but now the Real Madrid midfield is also not what it used to be based on the fact that Cruz is absent, Jude Bellingham is not all that anymore. Is it talking about Modric now? Look at Modric now. Individuals are talking about the fact that age is catching up with him and he does not have that same firepower to be able to push the team. So, talking about Kylian Mbappe is more comfortable coming from the wings, but you have Vinicius Jr. who is there already. Now, most of the times they do have clashes, and if Vinicius Jr. is obviously having a good day, then that day Mbappe sometimes don't get to have a good day. But from the game from last night, we saw Kylian Mbappe operating from the left flank, which is where he's more comfortable at, and then operating from those angles now helped him and then gave him more confidence and momentum, and he found the back of the net. So now there's a very big problem in the front, around the front three of Real Madrid, having Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, and Rodri on those flank. There is no issues with Rodri's flank because he's very comfortable. He can switch and play from every side. But Kylian Mbappe is looking to go back to the left flank where he's more comfortable at. So now it boils down to the singular question: what will Ancelotti do, and how would he be able to manage this moving forward into the next season? Because they were not so exceptional. They were not very, very crucial as the Madrid we used to know in the Champions League. And now they are struggling to play catch-up with Barcelona and see how Barcelona will make a mistake. And then they will now win their next match and advance and then take the La Liga, win the La Liga. But now Barcelona is never looking as if they want to make any form of mistake. In our own local leagues here, we saw where Rivers United and their head coach were saying that they are waiting for Remo Stars to slip a point, but that never happened. And then Remo Stars became the 2024-2025 Nigerian Professional Football League winners with 3 more games at hand. So this is the same thing that's almost happening. We're just 4 points ahead of Real Madrid. Barcelona are sitting comfortably, and then they are hoping to see if they will slip a point so that they will just sneak one in and then move. But still, we just have a couple of matches left to play, and there's a high chance that that may happen because it's football and anything can happen. Anything is obviously very, very possible when it comes to sport. So moving away from the La Liga, let's have a quick stop at Serie A, where Ademola Lookman scores as Atlanta trashed Monza 4-0. Atlanta took a step towards Champions League qualification for Sunday's 4-0 win at Monza, whose long-expected relegation from Serie A was confirmed with the convincing defeat. Charles de Catara netted his first league goal since before Christmas in the first half of the third place Atlanta move 6 points ahead of Juventus, who sat fifth ahead of their key clash at Bologna later. Ademola Lookman and Morak Brinsling completed the route with well-taken kicks after the break. With 3 matches remaining, Atlanta are not yet sure of a spot in Europe's elite club competition, with fellow top 4 hopeful that Roma visiting Braga next weekend would, help them win. Sunday's match was played after a killing of an Atlanta fan in a fight with a group of Inter Milan supporters in Bragmo late on Saturday night. Ricardo Clevenes was stabbed to death near Atlanta's Greenwich Stadium as fellow fans paid tribute to the 26-year-old with a banner which reads "Clarence everywhere with us." So looking at all of this now, fans are getting wild and wild. Almost, we're having the same issues here locally in Nigeria, where we'll see where fans will go and vandalize visitors' buses. Now they are attacking players. Now we're seeing fans going at it with each other that led to the loss of a life of one of the Atlanta's fans. So this is not totally welcoming, actually, in the world of sport, because these games are meant to unite and then bring people together. It's just for, fun and entertainment. A lot of people now, a lot of fans are taking it way beyond normal and is actually not telling so well for the sport, and teams need to start stepping up, players need to start stepping up, management of teams need to start stepping up and, creating awareness and talking more about all of these incidents so as, lives will not be lost on maybe occasionally and monthly basis when it has to deal with individuals like this. So it's just so challenging, and we hope that the world of sports, FIFA, UEFA, every other person will create a safe haven for, individuals coming to watch sport and football at various stadiums, whether your team is playing at home or advancing and playing away from home. So as security and all of that will be, made available for all of these individuals. So we're just hoping to see that, measures will be taken to have the lives of fans and also of players to be protected whenever they go out to play most of all of these their matches. So we just wish this fan a cool rest, may his soul rest in peace. So moving away, Stephen Curry helps Warriors claim a decider against Houston Rockets. Yes, the NBA playoff is obviously here and it has been ongoing. Stephen Curry was the man for Golden State Warriors again. Early hours of this morning, Stephen Curry said the Golden State Warriors had to dig deep to beat Houston Rockets 103-89 in the deciding game of their Western Conference first round playoff series. The Golden State Warriors led the best of 7 series 3-1 before Rockets pulled a leveler at 3-3 going into the final in Houston. Stephen Curry scored 14 of his 22 points in the fourth quarter, while teammates Brody Hughes sank in 9 3-pointers in the game-high haul of 33 points as the pair helped Golden State Warriors set up a Western Conference semifinal against Minnesota Timberwolves. So looking at this now, Golden State Warriors started off this year's NPFL very, very, very on a very high note, and then they got slow at some point. Taking on game 1, taking on game 2, and then, losing game 3, and then taking on game 4, and also losing also game 6. Now, a whole lot of fans, even some of my pals, were like saying, no, there is no way Golden State Warriors is going to come back based on the fact that they are going to Houston to play Game 7. And then the Rockets are very, very wild. The Fires are very wide. And, there's always this home court advantage. But there's something Golden State Warriors always like to do. Stephen Curry, I think he finds it fun when he goes away from San Francisco, goes away from the Bay, and then winning away from home, just like what he did with Boston Celtics, defeating them in Game 6 and winning the NBA trophy, which was his fourth trophy. So looking at all of this, now he has 4 rings, and then I could just imagine them celebrating and having the locker room of the visitors being messed up. So the same thing now happened with Houston Rockets as Golden State Warriors defeated Houston Rockets in a best of Game 7 series. So now they'll be facing Minnesota Timberwolves later this week, as they would also have a second semi-final stage of the best of 7 series. Now, the matchup between Anthony Edwards and Stephen Curry is something that I will pay to watch, and luckily it's happening now. And then we'll be seeing how Anthony Edwards and Stephen Curry, how Minnesota Timberwolves, which is being led by Anthony Edwards, and Golden State Warriors, which is being led by Stephen Curry. And these are former teammates, yes, in the Olympics. They all played together. I'm certain Anthony Edwards remembers vividly how amazing Stephen Curry is, who is currently the best shooter in the world. So now it's actually going to affect and also impact in one way. But Anthony Edwards is someone that says he is the future, and he never backs down from any form of challenge from whoever. We saw how he went on LeBron James and letting him know that, yes, you might be 40 years old, you might have 4 rings, but still, I am young and I have not gotten a ring, and I have so much that I'll need to, prove on some points that he needs to make. Arguably, they've been saying Anthony Edwards is the future of the league, but that's a conversation that we would have on a different note based on this fact. So we'll be seeing matchups like this same coming week, where Anthony Edwards will obviously want to guard Stephen Curry, and the Timberwolves will also want to have a bit Golden State Warriors will also want to have a bit of Anthony Edwards, who is currently, in the semifinals. We saw him advancing to this same position last season, leading the the Minnesota Timberwolves, but Luka Doncic made sure that didn't happen for them getting into the NBA Finals. So we'll see how this will happen, if the Golden State Warriors will have the best laugh against Minnesota Timberwolves in their first matchup that will be coming up early hours of Wednesday morning. We'll see how all of that pans out and definitely bring you updates. On the other hand, in the East, Indiana Pacers defeat Cleveland Cavaliers in their first matchup, beating them 121 to 112. Meanwhile, the Indiana Pacers won their first game, another best of 7 series that is going to be going on, that is currently on, with Cleveland and Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers defeated them 121 to 112 points at the Cleveland Cavaliers at a 1-0 lead. Now, currently, the Indiana Pacers lead the series with 1-0, leading the Eastern Conference semifinals playoff series. Andrew Humbert, Tyrese also scored lots of points. Andrew Humbert stops the scoring with the Pacers with 23 points, while teammate Tyrese Hublot added 22 points. Tyrese Hublot added 22 points. The Cleveland, who finished top of the Eastern Conference, were beaten for the first time in this season's playoffs following their 4-0 run in the first round playoff series victory against Miami Heat. So, obviously, we knew this was going to be a sweep between Miami Heat and Cleveland, based on the fact that the Cleveland this season, in this normal regular season, they played all through 85 games, and then they only lost 10. So they were first in the East, and they were very, very amazing, just like what we saw between the New York Knicks and the Pistons. Though there's a bit of a fight, and then the match advanced into the playoff series of the Game 7 decider, where we saw that New York Knicks had the last laugh. So talking about Indiana Pacers now, this is actually a matchup that I really wanted to watch, and it's ongoing now as we speak. The second game will be coming up on Thursday, where we'll see Tyrese, advancing and then scoring, leading the pack with 22 points, and also the others following suit, defeating Cleveland at their hometown and then in the first of Game 7 series. This shows that, okay, Indiana Pacers have something in their sleeves and they are about to make a statement. But can Indiana Pacers win this series against Cleveland? That's a very, very big question that is going to require so much more from Tyrese to be able to, answer. Fans are rooting for Cleveland, but now we'll see what happens because now the Indiana Pacers are leading the series 1-0. Will they be able to come back? Of course, they will be able to come back because they have 6 more games that to be played. Cleveland have the team power. They have Donovan Mitchell, they have a very good startup. They have Okoro Isaac, they have a very, very good startup that will be able to help them advance. So we'll see what happens in the second game and if they would be able to continue and winning the series. Because now a lot of persons have argued and predicted that Cleveland will be taking this season's championship. Donovan Mitchell doesn't have a ring currently as we speak, but we'll see how all of that pans out. Also, on the other hand, we saw Joker and the Nuggets defeating LA Clippers to advance into the semifinals of this season's NBA playoffs. Still, we'll be looking at all of those in the coming days and see how well OKC and Nuggets will be able, that is the Denver Nuggets will be able to, go ahead at each other, and we'll see who is going to come out top at that game best of 7 series. This is how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of Talk Sports. My name is Samuel Odi. I will see you again as we talk more sports. Bye for now.
Thank you.